Hi friends, Devang here. Continuing with our revision series of CA Final Costing, that is SCMP. Today I am taking up the chapter number 10, that is Strategic Analysis of Operating Income. Now this chapter is not very important, not as important as chapter 8, not as important as standard costing, not as important as decision making, but I can say it is average importance. Plus this chapter involves both theory as well as practical. Now the practicals involved in this chapter, the calculation part involved in this chapter is mostly pertaining to activity based costing. Activity based costing, yes, the one that you had done in your CA inter syllabus, it has been now shifted to CA inter syllabus. So the calculation part involved in this chapter is mostly pertaining to activity based costing, but the theory part will involve various types of analysis here. Yes, now my revision session here, I'm not going to revise activity based costing because that is now intermediate level topic. I will be revising only the final level topics here. So activity based costing calculation part is anyways very simple. You can refer to my regular classes for that. That I'm not revising. I will be revising mostly the theory portion of this chapter and giving you some comments, some suggestions regarding how to write analysis here. Yeah, small chapter. So let us start off with that. Now, the first topic in the chapter is about strategic profitability analysis. Profitability analysis. Well, profit analysis basically means to analyze that why did my profit change as compared to previous year. So as compared to last year, if this year my profit is different, we will analyze that what are the reasons for that difference. Operating profit may be affected due to many factors. A change in operating profit might be due to reasons as classified below, and the change is analyzed as compared to the last year, as compared to profit of the last year. Now, if you remember, what we have done in standard costing chapter is almost the same. In standard costing, we calculated variances. Now tell me, profit variances that you calculated, what does the profit variances indicate? Profit variances simply indicates that what is the reasons for my change in profit. However, in standard costing, we analyzed that variances by comparing actual with the standard, actual of this year with the standard. Here we will be comparing the actual of this year with the actual of last year. The only base of comparison is different. Baki comparison, the concept, principle of comparison is still the same. In variance analysis also, we tried to find the reasons why my profit changed. Here also we are identifying reasons why the profit has changed. Yes, in general, the reasons for change in profit. The reasons for the change in profit might be classified into three categories as per this chapter. Look, I still agree, I still believe that for analyzing profit, what you learned in standard costing is a better way to analyze profit. The method of analysis given here is not a very useful method, but it is there in the subject, so we will learn this also. It says that you classify the reasons for change in profit into three components: growth component, price component, productivity component. Growth component indicates that how much did my profit change because of change in production quantity, because of growth in my production. The word growth indicates increase in production quantity. Now if my quantity of finished goods are increasing, so obviously profit will increase. Growth component will calculate the increase in profit because of increase in quantity of finished goods. Price component is the increase in profit because of change in prices. Change in prices, selling prices and cost prices, both ways we will identify there. And productivity component indicates my change in profit due to change in usage efficiency. Usage. Look, productivity indicates like usage, with how much input, how much output did you make. To make this output, how much input did you use? If you use excess input, means usage is more, your profit will decrease. If you have used lesser input, If you have used lesser input, then you have saved the input quantity, then your profit will increase. Yes, that indicates my productivity component. Now, growth component, it is just like profit margin volume variance, because profit margin volume variance, remember standard costing, PMVV also indicates change in profit because of change in volume. Growth component also indicates change in profit because of change in the production volume. Yes, price component is like the price variance, because in my standard costing, price variances also indicated the change in profit because of change in the price. Here also price variance indicates change in profit because of change in the price. That is my price component. And productivity components are like the usage variances. Under each of them, there are more categories to learn. Like under growth component, it will have a revenue effect and cost effect. Revenue effect indicates that how much did my revenue increase because of production quantity increase. Cost effect indicates how much did my cost increase because of increase in production quantity. Net effect of them both is my increase in profit because of increase in production quantity. Similarly, revenue effect, cost effect you also have under price component. Revenue effect is basically regarding selling price. Cost effect here is regarding cost price. But under productivity component, there is no revenue effect. There will be only cost effect, because productivity always pertains only to input. Now, for calculations in this topic, I have given you some summary here, but instead of revising from this summary, I will revise that from one example, same example that I had shown you in class. Same example I'll show you again, chalo. Notice, what we will be comparing is profit of last year with the profit of current year. Yes, so profit of last year, say it was 200, and profit in current year is 672. So you see that the total increase in profit from 200 to 672, my profit has increased by 472 rupees. Now my total increase in profit appears is 472 rupees as compared to last year. This year my profit has increased by 472. Well, to compare this, I changed some names over here, and I'm changing the names just to make you realize similarities of this with standard costing. As such, the formulas under this topic are not the ones that I'm showing you in my summary, but in my summary I will be showing you formulas so that it looks similar to your standard costing variance calculations. Yes, so notice, for calculation purpose I have created some formulas over here, but these formulas I have derived from what you have learned in standard costing. So check this out. My last year is considered like standard as given, and standard as given means nothing but budget. Remember, standard as given means original budget. Current year is considered like actual, and if current year is taken as actual, last year is becoming my budget, then standard for actual, meaning last year data if current year production was done in last year. Now say for that matter, I give you some more details. Current year profit is 672. Current year production is 102 units. So current year production, if it is 102 units, then last year if I had produced the same 102 units, then what would have been the profit? Well, last year 200 was the profit, and last year production was 80 units. 80 is my output of last year. So if 80 was the output of last year, which gives me 200 profit, then 102 output last year would have given me 255 profit. Now notice, this year, current year, your output is 102 units. If last year you had produced 102 units, it would have given you 255 profit as per the rates and prices of last year. Now this 200 to 255 indicates the growth component. It indicates that from 200 profit last year, 55 rupees extra profit I have got because of increase in the output units. That is clearly visible here. Yes, rest of the increase after 255 up to 672, that rest of the increase is because of price and productivity. So growth component you clearly have here is 55 rupees increase in profit because of growth. Rest of the 417 profit increase is because of price component and productivity component. Price component will be selling price component, cost price component, productivity component is like the usage component. All of that we now calculate here. Yes, so under the growth component there can be revenue effect and cost effect. Now this 55 growth component can be further split into revenue effect, cost effect. For that, look at some data. Say 80 was my output of last year, but to produce that 80 output in last year, I used 100 input in last year, costing 10 rupees, amount 1000. 80 output of last year was sold at a price of 15 rupees, giving you sales of 1200, hence profit 200. This is the data completed. Similarly, actual meaning current year. Current year my output is 102, which I sold at 16 rupees, giving sales value 1632. But to produce that 102 output in this year, I have consumed input of 120 units. 120 units is my input to produce 102 output. Rest of that is loss. So 120 input has costed me 8 rupees per unit. Total cost 960. Hence my profit now appears to be 672. This is my budget. This is my actual. Budget means last year, actual means current year. Now, based on that, I will have to calculate standard for actual. So standard for actual, imagine how will I get this 127.5? How will I identify this 127.5? It is not given. I have to find. Well, cross multiply. Remember what you did in standard costing. For all standard for actual, all you have to do is cross multiply. Cross multiply based on the budget. So my budget shows that 80 output I got from 100 input. Then 102 output I would have got from how much input? 102 output I would have got from 127.5 input. Cross multiply. Pricing will remain the same. 10 rupees budgeted price, same you put in standard. 15 rupees selling price standard, budgeted selling price, same you put in standard. Done. Yes, that gives me profit of 255 over here. And then accordingly my calculations, they go growth component. Under that revenue effect, cost effect. In both the cases, all I have to do is take the price and quantity difference because it is growth component. Growth basically indicates quantity difference. Now, when I talk about growth component revenue effect, it will be difference in quantity of finished goods. When I talk about growth component cost effect, it will be difference in quantity of input because cost is incurred on input. Revenue is obtained on output. So for revenue effect, I take selling price, standard selling price 15 and difference in quantity 102 minus 80. In short, you identify the growth component between these two tables only. Change in quantity 80 to 102 at the standard price of 15 is my revenue effect, and cost effect is change in the quantity of input. 100 may say 127.5. You are using more input. If you are using more input costing 10 rupees standard, it gives you negative 275. Net effect is 55. Naturally, look, if the quantity is increasing, then because of extra quantity, you are getting extra sales of 330 and you are incurring extra input cost of 275. 330 indicates extra sales. Extra sales due to the quantity increase, and 275 indicates extra cost. extra cost due to the quantity increase. Net effect 55 is my extra profit. Extra profit due to the quantity increase. Done? Yes, that is my growth component. Price component I told you is just like the price variances. But one change, देखो, price component revenue effect is just like the sales price variance, exactly same as the sales price variance. Actual output into actual selling price minus standard selling price. Actual selling price 16, standard selling price 15. 16 minus 15 and into actual output is 102. That 102 gives me 102 exact. That is like my sales price variance. But the price component cost effect is like my cost price variance. Cost price variance like material price variance or labor rate variance or so. But remember, in case of all in case of all such variances, material price variance, labor rate variance and all, generally your formula for price variance, the material price variance formula was this. It was actual quantity into standard price minus actual price. Yes, you remember. And productivity component I said is like usage variance. Let's say for example material usage variance formula used to be standard price into standard quantity minus actual quantity. But this time there is one change that I am making. Now in this case, for price variance instead of actual quantity, they suggest you use standard quantity, sorry. And in material usage variance instead of standard price, they say you use actual price. Net effect will still remain the same. Yes, so my price component cost effect becomes standard quantity into standard price minus actual price. Standard quantity of input, standard quantity into standard price minus actual price, while productivity component is like usage variance, but in that instead of standard price you use actual price into standard quantity minus actual quantity, actual price into standard quantity minus actual quantity. At both the places, quantity here is my quantity of input. Done? Yes, this summarizes all three components under the profit analysis, and that same things I have given you here in the form of formulas. Formulas over here and the notations of the formulas are given. Now you can study that. But as I said, for understanding these formulas, you should have attended my classes, because I had given you a very simplified way of learning these formulas in the form of the example which I just now revised. I'll say refer classwork example for that matter. Done? Yes? Okay. Further, additionally, if they ask to find change in profit due to product differentiation factor. Now remember classwork question number 1, we had done that, not in the example but in the question. We did this in classwork question 1. They had asked you one extra factor called product differentiation factor. Then product differentiation means what? Product differentiation, yaad karo chapter 1. It means that how much am I able to differentiate my product from my competitors. Now, if I am able to differentiate my product from the competitors, then what is the benefit of that? Well, if I'm able to differentiate my product from the competitors, then because of product differentiation, I may get a better market share. And because of product differentiation, because my product is different, I can charge a better selling price also. Well, that is why product differentiation factor means that you include change in profit due to market share and change in profit due to the price factor. Total of both these factors will become your product differentiation factor. How much did my profit increase? Because of increase in market share. It's like It is like market share variance, standard costing wala. Plus you add the change in profit because of the price factor, price component, revenue effect, cost effect, both. You add, that will give you product differentiation factor. Yes, mostly this is what we cover in profit analysis. Plus they might also ask you general questions about profit analysis, general questions which is not about the theory which I gave you here, but general questions might be just about making profit statement. They'll just ask you to prepare profit statement by different ways, by different classifications. Mostly the questions in this part will be simply about activity based costing method, using activity based costing to find the profit, product wise profit, or maybe branch wise, location wise profit, whatever. They'll ask you to implement, they'll ask you to apply the principles of activity based costing while distributing overheads in order to calculate profit. That will be the most common style of questions from this chapter. Done? Yes. Okay, that was first part. Second part, direct product profitability. Well, this is a topic under the heading application of activity based costing. Yes, so activity based costing principles again will be used to calculate DPP. What is DPP? DPP basically means profitability of individual products, product wise profit. Direct product profitability meaning product wise profit. Product wise profit, the principle here, the concept here is to determine net profit of each product instead of gross profit of each product. Generally, when I take sales minus cost of goods sold, whenever I take sales minus COGS, it gives me gross profit. And yes, it is easy to find gross profit product wise. Finding gross profit of product A, product B, product C is very easy. But this is a principle where you take the calculation, take this calculation further, that from the gross profit you deduct the other cost, indirect cost, so that you get the direct product profit. Direct product profit is like net profit of each product. Now, what is the reason to do this? Well, the reason to calculate net profit product wise is that if you determine that which is a better product, if you have to determine which is better product, which is more profitable product, and if you do that using gross margins of product A, B and C, it might give you a wrong idea, because the product which has the highest gross profit might not have the highest net profit. Product A might be having the highest gross profit, but by the time of net profit it is becoming the lowest, maybe because there is very high other costs over here. Possible? Yes. Well, that is why it is necessary to make a calculation of product wise profit up to the net profit. It will help you to point out the better product more easily. Yes. Now, to do this calculation, all you have to do is make this DPP statement. In that DPP statement, sales minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit, that is already given. What you have to determine in almost every question, what you have to determine is this direct product cost. Direct product cost is like the indirect costs which are to be apportioned, allocated to the products. These are the indirect costs that are to be attributed to the products. Indirect costs for the DPP statement may be 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe overheads. Indirect costs for the DPP statement may be overheads that are not directly related to the product. You have to apportion it to the product. It may be volume related cost. Volume meaning it is depending on the volume of the products, like storage cost, transportation cost, they are based on the space occupied by the product. Yes. Or maybe batch cost, that are mostly time based and are incurred on batch of products. It is not incurred on every unit of the product, it is incurred in terms of batch. And financing cost might be the cost of financing cost of the money tied up in a cost in the stock, like working capital cost. Yep. These are the main components under the DPP cost. You deduct them and that will give you the direct product profit. Generally, head office costs, if the company has various branches producing different products and there is a common head office, Now the cost incurred in head office is common between product A, B and C. Because it is common, it cannot be distributed between product A, B and C. It does not pertain to only A or B or C. So it will not be distributed. Head office cost, if any given, are ignored as they don't relate to any particular product. Done? Yes. We did that in question number 3. Classwork question 3. We had done that in classwork question 3. Further, most of the questions simply require again activity based costing method to classify cost in the DPP statement. Like to identify this direct product cost for product A, product B and product C separately. How will you distribute the overheads between A, B and C? Either you can distribute overheads by routine overheads absorption costing method, or you distribute overheads as per the activity based costing method. Which will be better method? Activity based costing. We've done that since our first or second session of CA final. Yeah. Okay. But the most important part here in this topic will not be the calculation. More important part is the analysis. Analysis, yes, because the reason why we are finding product wise profit is to give a better analysis. Now I cannot give you summary notes for analysis because in every question the analysis will differ. I can just give you some guidelines. You can write in your analysis. For writing the analysis, you can do this. You identify the product. You identify that the product having highest gross profit may not have the highest direct product profit. Naturally, so this indicates the importance of indirect cost. You need to write in your analysis that which product has a higher DPP and which has the lower DPP, and that is due to which indirect cost. What is the reason why product A has very low DPP? What is the reason that product B has very high DPP? You identify that based on the DPP cost that you have classified. Yes, all that you put in your analysis. Give more content in the analysis rather than the calculation part. You don't need so many working notes to present in your calculation, but you need all possible explanations in your analysis. Done. Same logic or same thing will apply for my next topic also, customer profitability analysis. Just like DPP is calculating profit product wise, similarly CPA here is about calculating profit customer wise, and again that is done using activity based costing method, because look, sales revenue is already available customer wise. How much sales did I get from which customer? It is easy to identify, but my overhead cost might not be identified customer wise. So overhead cost has to be distributed between customers. It is distributed using activity based costing principle. Yes, again in that case you need to write analysis, and in analysis you mention that which customer is more profitable or less profitable, and it is due to which reasons, and that reasons you will get from your reasons you will get to know from your activity costs. Which customer has more activities, which customer has less activity, which customer is spending more of the driver in expensive activities, which customer is spending less driver in the expensive activities. All that you mention in your analysis. Yes, and accordingly, this time accordingly, you also give suggestions to increase overall profitability. If customer A is very profitable, write in your suggestion that company should try to focus more on customer A because he is more profitable. If customer B is least profitable or loss making, then you write in your suggestion that company might plan to let go customer B. Whatever, all that should come in your analysis. Done? Yes. So please be very careful in writing the analysis. I need you to give more detailed analysis in this chapter. Like I told you, this chapter is less of calculation, more of analysis. And in fact, the name of the chapter itself is strategic analysis of operating income. It is about analysis. It is not about calculation. It is more about analysis. Yes, I can give you general guidelines about analysis, but actual analysis you have to write on your own depending on the answers that you get in the question. Yes, for that matter, refer to the classwork questions that we have done. We have done some questions under DPP and we have also done many questions under CPA. Yes, refer them from the class. That will give you examples of how to write the analysis. Done? Yes. Further, last or second last part of the chapter was about activity based management. Now there's a difference between activity based costing and activity based management. Activity based costing is simply a calculation concept. It is about calculating the cost of activities and distributing that cost among the products. While activity based management is a more managerial job. It is a larger term. So chalo, before we get into that, let me show you some differences here. Activity based costing versus activity based management. Activity based costing is about determining the cost of products by distributing the overheads of the activities. So it is mainly pertaining to calculation part. Activity based costing pertains to distributing the overheads, while activity based management is a broader concept. It is a concept about analyzing the activities. Look, ABC is a smaller concept, ABM is a larger concept. I can say that ABC is included within ABM. ABM talks about every analysis pertaining to activity, but that obviously involves calculating activity based costing. So ABC is about calculation, ABM is about analysis. What analysis? It is about analyzing the activities for a competitive advantage. In other words, analyzing activities to increase my profitability. Yeah, because if I can increase my profitability, then I can get competitive advantage over my competitors. So activity based management, what is it about? It's about managing the cost at activity level by using the information gathered through ABC. So ABC will give you calculations. Using that calculations, you manage the activities, manage the cost. It involves managing activities rather than managing the resources. Yes. Determine what drives the activities and improve them to increase profitability. Determine what drives the activity, meaning cost driver. Determine what drives the activity. That is, determine the cost driver. I hope you remember what does cost driver mean. Yes, determine the cost driver and improve that cost drivers to increase the profitability. Ultimate purpose of ABM is to increase profitability. Ultimate purpose of ABC is to calculate product cost. Now you get the difference. ABC is just to calculate the product cost correctly. ABM is a more analytical part, managerial part to increase the profitability. So what will this involve? This involves cost driver analysis, activity analysis, and performance analysis. Look, I said this is mostly theory revision here. So activity based management is about analysis. What analysis? Analysis of cost driver, analysis of activity, and performance analysis. Remember, if I have to identify overheads of a product, say how do I calculate overheads of product A? How much overheads will be allotted to product A? How do I apportion overheads to product A? Well, it will be cost driver rate multiplied by cost driver quantity. Absorption rate is basically cost driver rate multiplied by cost driver quantity. Well, cost driver quantity you analyze under cost driver analysis, and cost driver rate you analyze under the activity analysis, because activity is the one which will consume the cost. Yes, so cost driver quantity, you try to decrease the quantity of cost drivers, that is cost driver analysis. Identify the cost drivers and try to decrease them. Try to decrease the number of setups, try to decrease, say, the machine hours, try to decrease the labor hours, try to decrease the number of batches. That is called as cost driver analysis. While activity analysis involves that you manage activities. By managing activities, automatically it will manage the cost rate. For example, managing activities means you identify value added and non-value added activities. We'll do that over here. Value added activities are the ones which are indispensable, meaning you cannot remove them, because these are the activities which is the main activity. This is the activity for which customers are ready to pay money. Customer is giving money for this activity. Non-value added activities are the activities which are not valued by the customers. Remember, we have done this again in chapter 1. Yes, non-value added activities, Porter's value chain analysis, chapter 1 mein we have done. Non-value added activities are the ones that are not valued by the customer. They create waste or delay. Customer is not ready to pay more for these activities. For example, say packaging activity. Does the customer pay extra money for very good packaging? No. For example, say waiting time. Waiting, when my product is waiting in the store for, say, dispatch, waiting for dispatch. Does the customer pay more money because you are waiting more before the dispatch? No. These are non-value added activities. So activity analysis basically tells that activities are the ones that consume cost. So if you want to decrease the cost, you need to manage activities. Managing activities will automatically manage the cost. You identify value added, non-value added activities and probably try to eliminate the non-value added activities. Yeah, that is my activity analysis. And the third one, performance analysis, is about identifying the best way to measure the performance of activity. How do I measure that which activity is performing good, which activity is not performing good? Well, to identify the measures of performance of activity, how to measure performance, you find the best way to measure the performance of activities, that is called as performance analysis. Yeah, okay, this is mainly about activity based management. Now one part within activity based management is about time spent in manufacturing. It is a further clarification, it is a further description regarding value added, non-value added. During manufacturing, there are various time spent. Process time is the main time for converting materials into finished goods, processing. And naturally, that process time is always value added activity. But then inspection time is the time spent to inspect quality of the products, quality of material, quality of finished goods. Now that I would say is non-value added. You might say that, sir, it is necessary to do inspection. Agreed, it is necessary for you to do inspection. But will the customer feel that inspection is necessary? No. Customer does not give value to your inspection time. In fact, customer would expect that your production should be so good that you don't need inspection. You cannot tell customer that you pay me more money. You cannot tell the customer to pay more money because you are spending time on inspection. You are spending time on inspection because you don't trust your quality. That is your problem. That is not the customer's problem. That becomes non-value added. Yes. Similarly, move time is the time for moving raw materials, WIP or finished goods between operations. Move time is also non-value added. Waiting time, the time when the materials or finished goods are waiting for the next operation. Storage time is the time during the storage before further processing or before the dispatch. All of them, I say, are non-value added activities. Yes. Now, these all activities, all of them put together will give you a delivery cycle time. If all these activities are put together, it will give you delivery cycle time. Delivery cycle time is the average time between receipt of customer's order and delivery of goods. I receive the customer's order today, then I do the inspection, then I do the processing, move time, wait time, storage time. After everything, the goods are then delivered to the customer. So the time period between getting order from customer and delivering goods to the customer, that total time is called as delivery cycle time. Out of that, the time spent in only manufacturing is called as manufacturing cycle time. Yes, so delivery cycle time is since receipt of customer order until delivery of goods, but in between that there might be some time spent in manufacturing, that is manufacturing cycle time. Manufacturing will be the total production time required per unit is your manufacturing cycle time. Velocity is the number of units produced in a given time. Number of units that you produce in a given time. Look, it is exact opposite of manufacturing cycle time. If I say that the time required per unit is say 10 minutes. If the time required per unit is 10 minutes per unit, then velocity means number of units produced in a given time. If 10 minutes is the time required for 1 unit, then how much units will I produce in 1 hour? Well, it will be 6 units in 1 hour. That is called as velocity. Yeah. And manufacturing cycle efficiency. Manufacturing cycle efficiency, in short called as MCE. What is that? Well, manufacturing cycle efficiency is processing time divided by all other time. In other words, I can say this is value added time divided by total time. Total meaning value added and non-value added. If the total time is say 10 hours, out of which processing time is only 6 hours, that is value added, meaning 6 by 10, that is 60%. 60% is called as my manufacturing cycle efficiency. Why is it called efficiency? Well, it is called efficiency because it shows that only 60% of my total time I am spending in value added activity. Rest 40% time I am spending in non-value added things. Done? Yes, that is called my manufacturing cycle efficiency. Next is a theory that is about applications of activity based management. Well, this entire principle of ABM is used for what? Naturally, it is used for cost reduction because the main primary target here is to increase profit. Profit can be increased by cost reduction. Profit can also be increased by business process re-engineering. It can be used for performance measurement. It is used in activity based budgeting, my next topic, and it can also be used in benchmarking. Well, I can say these are just examples. Baki, in general, the principles of activity based costing and activity based management are used at many places. In fact, you have seen it is used in many places of my syllabus of costing. Yes, all those are applications of ABM. Further, last part in the chapter is about activity based budgeting. Again, first let me describe a small difference between activity based costing, activity based budgeting. Like I said, activity based costing is just about calculation. Calculating what? Calculating cost of the product. Meaning, in activity based costing, look, this difference is the wordings of this difference I have designed myself. You will understand that very nicely just by these simple words. Dekho, in activity based costing, costs are already budgeted. Costs are already estimated that this activity has this cost. Yes, and we need to distribute them to the products based on activities. So you already have cost of activity 1, cost of activity 2, cost of activity 3. These costs are to be distributed between product A, B and C. That's what we have done in first chapter. That's what we have done in activity based costing questions. Yes, that is ABC. While ABB, Activity based budgeting is about budgeting the cost that will be incurred for making the products, and that budgeting is done based on activities. So think about it like this. In case of activity based costing, you have some activity already has some cost, and that cost is to be distributed to the products. But activity based budgeting is estimation. Estimation will be reverse. You identify what products you want to produce. Based on that, you identify that these products will require which activities, and based on that you estimate that what will be the cost of these activities. That is called as activity based budgeting. You are estimating the cost of the activities. Then basically activity based budgeting is a part of planning. You are planning that this is the production you wish to do. Remember budgets chapter? From the sales budget you make production budget. From production budget you identify that how much material is needed, how much labor is needed, how many activities are needed. It's continuation of that. Yes. So ABB analyzes the product, identifies what activities are needed, and accordingly plan what resources are needed to perform those activities, what cost, what resources, what money will be needed to perform those activities. ABB also focuses on cost reduction by eliminating wasteful activities. Well, this is my theory about activity based budgeting. Like I said, in this chapter I have revised mainly only theory, and anyways the summary notes are very short, almost only 3 or 4 pages summary notes it is. The main part in this chapter is not the calculation, because calculation wise every question is just a question of activity based costing, which you have done in your CA intermediate level. I presume you remember activity based costing from your CA intermediate level. Yeah. What is main part in this chapter is your analysis. Done. For analysis, please refer the classwork questions that we have done. Yeah. That's all. Thank you very much. That was chapter number 10. Thank you. Bye bye.